How's it going, guys? It's Pelican here, back with another video. Real quick before we go ahead and get this started, if you can, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's super appreciated. Supports the channel, all that great stuff. But yeah, so we're going to be going and doing a top 5 decks to be playing this format. Really just the best decks that, you can really play. And, so with that, I have a couple, that I would really think that should be on here. But, for the most part, I'm going to be, talking about what I think are just the best picks for this format. So, the first one I'm going to be saying is going to be Prank Kids. So, all these decks, except for, one or two, have gotten a big boost on the ban list. And it's really just because the Buster Lock is gone. And Prank Kids is definitely one of those. A big thing with the Buster Lock was that it just gave, even if you had hand traps, a lot of the time, the deck was just going to be able to make, Buster Lock plus, Boro Savage. Going against that was just bad. But Prank Kids, now that that's gone, that's not something we really have to worry about as much. It's just something that I really do like. Them getting that Link 1 was just so crazy, if I'm being, upfront with you. That's a big thing, that's really, making me want to gravitate towards this deck, because Link 1 just made the deck super crazy. All Prank Kid monsters and Prank Kid field spell, all that just turned into 1-card starters, and it does a whole combo. You can either get double Raigeki, double Heavy Storm, which is pretty bad, but you have that option. But the deck is just super crazy and on its own now, and that's something I really do like about the deck. But, as an overall, coming from, a, objectively standpoint, the only real weakness of the deck is, it's susceptible to some hand traps. But for the most part, usually you can play through them because you can play answers in the form of Poly, as well as answers in the form of, your triple Pandemonium, all that good stuff. It's so crazy. And the deck is just really, it's still alive, it's still kicking. One of the better decks I can say to play as of right now. But the next deck I think it stands a much better chance, Zodiac. So all the Zodiac, same thing as the other one, they're 1-card starters, but they're really not susceptible to hand traps. And that's why I really like the deck so much, because, you don't get hand trapped and just feel like you auto-lost. That was a big thing is, when you're playing, Prank Kids, you get Ashed or Gammon on your first Prank Kid effect, and sometimes you just lose. And you're sitting there with the Meow Meow, and that's your board. But, this deck, you just normal summon a Zoo monster, get the boys out, stack a bunch, and, stack up till you can get 4 summons with a Trident, and you're just like, wow, that's crazy, okay. That's a big reason why I do like it. Deck is super crazy, and you also get to play all the good hand traps. That was another big reason. I love being able to play all the good hand traps and things like that. I think I chained these wrong. Yeah, I chained these wrong. It's because I'm talking. But you get to play all the good trap cards, all the good hand traps. Speaking of that, did you guys see that Grizel, what was it, Ice Dragon's Prison? That thing is, what was it? It's $37. It's crazy. I can't believe that. That's just actually wild to me. But, yeah, disregarding that, Zoo, especially when they got Zeus, it definitely got a huge buff. Zeus just made this deck, you only have 1 Trident. No, you don't. You have 3 now. And this 1 Trident can be multiple times, or these 2 Tridents can be multiple times per turn. So literally they'll just attack, stack a bunch of materials, and you just keep going and going. It's super wild. And the deck is super fun, as an overall. That's another big reason why I do like it. The deck is just so much fun. Oh, look at that, and I drew that. That was actually wonderful. This is going to attack into this. But yeah. So that's really about it for Zoo. I think Zoo is definitely one of the better contenders to play. But one next I think is, so this one was a little tough to tackle, and I say this because it's just a little awkward. And I mean, so invoked Alistair and Eldritch. And I say Alistair and Eldritch because most of the time when you see either one of these, you're gonna have both. A lot of the time you're not seeing Alistair Dogmatica by itself. You're seeing that paired with Eldritch. There's some list that stand by itself, but for the most part you're always seeing lists that include both, which is why I want to how do I say, put them together. And that was a big reason why I did that. Let me just check this real quick. Oh, these guys are tiny. Target one if, okay, so this is the right one. All right. But yeah, that was another big thing with me, at least, was you know, the decks always seem to be together. I see no reason why you wouldn't put them together on one of these lists. And I get to have a Plunder Patrol Spotter Trap. Oh yeah, oh, he scooped. He just saw it banish his Eldritch. He's like, oh no. Oh, I won't host because I'm lazy. But yeah, like, and to be honest, like, Alistair variant, for one Alistair being a 1-card starter is just so crazy. And then also the, you know, Eldritch, being able to recycle resources every turn just because you felt like it is just so broken. Definitely one of the better decks I can say to play. And it's one of the decks that I really do want to play this format. Because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to play. And it's probably going to end up being that more or less because I think it's my favorite. One thing I do like about the deck as well is it doesn't auto-lose to VFD. Because, you know, you Virtual World VFDs, you're like, oh no. Okay, normal. The exact words were in that meme where it's like, oh no, you VFD'd me? Okay, anyway, I'll still summon Dryden set 4 pass. And then, you know, that set 4 is like Sanguine, Conquistador, and real trap cards, real cards. That's why I do really like this deck, because it's not susceptible. It is susceptible, but it's nothing like, you know, I guess we can watch this. But it's nothing like, you know, you're not going to get Dougied on by VFD instantly, and that's why I do really like it. And plus, being able to recycle resources every turn is just so crazy. 1 Zoo plus Curse Eldland gets you 2 disruptions guaranteed, plus follow-up turns in the form of your Sanguine and your Conquistador being banished to get more cards. And that's why I do like it so much. After that, I have to say Virtual World. Virtual World is one of those decks that just came out through Phantom Rage. Deck is super crazy, to be honest with you. It makes rank 9s, rank 6s, rank 3s like it's nobody's business. You know, you're seeing a VFD getting slapped on the board, you Nibiru them, they make another one. They said, I'll fucking do it again. And if you have no disruptions, most of the time they're getting a trap card, Shen for the Macrocosmos for the field, and a VFD. And even if you have a response to the VFD, they'll just pop it with a trap card. It's crazy. You know, that deck also is able to get resources back every turn really well. You know, one of them lets you add the Lulu back. You know, the good players will always have a Spell Engrave to use as well. That's another big one, you know. And the deck just plays through hand traps pretty well. You know, Nibiruing them at the end does hurt a lot, but most of the time they're still able to get, you know, like a VFD off, just something, you know. Because one of them I know Reborns, and then the trap changes level. You can do a lot of crazy shenanigans with the deck. That's a big reason why I do like it. Its only real weakness I've seen is really just, like, in my experience, I bricked a lot with it, which is why I don't really want to play it. Other than that, like, the deck's insanely solid. You get to play, you draw, like, if outside of your combo, you draw, like, 1 off Croc, 1 off Stardust Charge Warrior or Coral Dragon, and then you get 2 searches, and, you know, you can do that, you know, roughly almost every turn. But actually, that's a lie. After, you know, your turn 1, you're going to draw 1. But, you know, you have access to cards like Vermilion Mech. Yeah. Vermilion Mech, Coral Dragon, Utopia Beyond, M7. Your toolbox for this is just so crazy. And, you know, you also Bamboozling, too. That's another good one. You know, you can make that for your first summon, so now VFD just becomes, oh, we both draw a card. That's fun. But, yeah, some honorable mentions before we go and get to the first spot. Like, in my opinion, what I think would be the best one. Infernoble Knights and Phantom Knights. I think they're both Knights, that's crazy. But Infernoble Knights are still strong, as you guys seen if you watch my previous videos with Hunter Lloyd. He broke that deck instantly. Right when this Banlist hit, he was already working on builds. And, you know, he still broke it. You know, the deck shoves out. He made stereo builds. He did them with VFD. He did the VFD, like the True King of All Calamities, the Synchro. He did a bunch of crazy things. You know, props to him. He's an amazing deck builder. Insane at this game, to be honest with you. Proud to have him as a friend. But yeah, the deck is super strong. You know, 2 warriors is still full combo. And he made a builder you make Appaloos on summon like 4 or 5, I think. It was actually summon 5, yeah. And, you know, you still do full combo after that, which is so crazy. That's why I like that deck so much. You know, you end with like several disruptions and a VFD. And it's just super crazy. The only thing that sucks about it now is it's a little bit more susceptible to hand traps because we don't have cards like Linkross making Herald early. But, you know, ending on Herald, Appaloosa with 2 negates, Boral Savage and a VFD doesn't sound too bad to me. And then we have Phantom Knights. The future of Phantom Knights is a little weird because back then we were doing the Buster Lock. But Phantom Knights being able to pump out all these Tark links, even just links in general, being able to pump out all these really good toolbox XYZs and in archetype XYZs as well, and being able to access these trap cards that say negate your opponent's monster effects, and then being able to use those to bring back the boys back, is just crazy. The deck is super consistent, and in my opinion, it's only going to get better as the time goes. Let's see if they utilize 3 Graph and 3 Seer. Probably won't, because like I told people, 3 Graph and 3 Seer don't mean shit. But I think that deck as its own is insanely good, and I really am excited to see what people do with it. I hope it sees a lot more competitive play, but since the Buster Lock is gone, it's going to be a little difficult. I'll probably make a build for it and just see what I can do. Like my last build I was making, it was like Rusty, IP, and then Dragoon, and that's the build I was playing. And then you have set traps as well as cards in hand. It wasn't that bad. And then there was another one where I was doing Appaloosa, Rusty. It was like a bunch of shenanigans. But yeah, the last deck that I think this is the best one in my opinion when it comes to price of the deck, effectiveness, all that good. Wow, this guy got Dougied on. Holy crap. Oh wait, will that pop? I don't know, but so is Dinos. Dinos are so crazy, especially right now, because Herald isn't popping up on the board like he used to. Miscellaneous being at 3 is just so crazy for the deck, because it just literally says you can't do nothing to me. I'm gonna play my deck, and you are forced to sit and watch. You have a problem with that? I wasn't asking. My bad. And also this deck is really cheap. That is, really cheap being, depending on, it depends on what you're thinking. Like for me, pretty cheap. The deck is really cheap for what it is. 3 structure decks get you most of the deck. The only things that cost a little bit more, the Archosaurs, unfortunately, they did go up to $50, and the Extravagances, which are now at $20. But as an overall, like I was doing budget, like what I would call like more budget builds than other people's, where you only need the 1 Archosaur, and you can get like Toon Chaos ultra rares for the Pot of Extravagances, which last time I checked were about 17 each. And if you get them online through someone, or even through someone from your locals, I'm sure you can get a better deal on them as well. And other than that, just about everything's pretty cheap. Like Logias are like $2 or $3. Dolka is like 7 or 8, depending on which one you get. Same thing goes, depending on where you get it from. You get it from retail, of course you're going to be paying retail. TCG players are going to charge you that plus shipping. But if you find someone who has all the cards you need, I can definitely say this deck is a lot cheaper, especially comparatively speaking. Like Virtual World and Dino, actually all these decks are relatively cheap. Now that I think about it, like besides like the Alistair deck, I guess I can say, with like Curse Eldlands being 20, the normal spell being 20, Invocations being 20, like in Virtual World, like E-Telly, Lulu, those are like $80, but after that most of it's not that expensive. And a lot of these decks, like most of the cards you're gonna be playing that I'm saying that are expensive are staple cards that a lot of people do have. Prank Kids, for the most part, it's all just Prank Kid cards. And the most expensive card in that entire deck, I believe, off the top of my head, is the Prank Kid Field Spell. And that's like $12 I think last time I checked. I checked it earlier today. And like in Zoo, really just pure Zoo, and in its own, it was like Thoroughblades, I think. Those are like $9. But even then, spending about like $60 for the whole deck, if you get Zeus, it's about $100, and then if you get 2 Zeus, it's about $150. But $150 for a deck that is going to guarantee you wins, I think is definitely worth it. Most of these decks are under 200, which is another big thing that I do like, because like I said, most of these decks are very cheap, especially Prank, because that deck is super cheap. But if you did like this list, go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe. It's super appreciated. But if you did think that there were any other decks that I missed, or you felt like spots should have been taken by other decks, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. It's super appreciated. Also, peep the card sleeves. These card sleeves kill me. I'm sorry. But yeah, appreciate you watching the video. Take it easy and have a great day.